Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gameweek 33 podcast. My name is Ryan, and I'm joined by my co-host Karan and a very special guest this week in FPL Baker from the Above Average FPL podcast. I'll go to our guest first of all. Baker, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Good. Yes, getting the business end, isn't it? Not long to go. We've got all fixtures now confirmed rest of the season. So yeah, all systems goes. It does feel big though that every sort of decision matters now, doesn't it? Because it sort of has knock-on sort of consequences to what you do. It's a weird one for me because I'm wild carding in 35. So it's not like the end in terms of these transfers. So I mean, for me, it's like how can I maximize the next two game weeks? But for anyone that's not on it, like it's really big decisions every week.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, I'm also in the similar situation because I think I've also got a wildcard chip and a bench boost chip. So I'm looking to play 35 wildcard. So dead end 34, 35 wildcard and bench boost 37. And then Karan, how are you doing?
Pretty good, man. Yeah, I think yes, this is the business end of the decision, but I think given my rank, it's time to take some risks. So I'm looking forward to the fun that comes with that.
Yep. And
So yeah,
you already used your wildcard, right?
yeah, I just have bench boost left.
Yep.
So bench boost 37 is on the cards for me. Yeah.
Okay, indeed.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll start straight into it. And we couldn't have a Spurs player on and not a Spurs fan on and not have a Spurs player on the thumbnail who did really well this weekend. I have a question with him as well because very interesting, given that the two of us, at least Baker, are dead ending. So there's kind of a discussion to do, like, do you keep him? Do you sell him? All of that. But before we go, shout out to people in the comments as well. I think Adam came in before the stream started and just put first, and he's either here or not, I don't know. But then, so shout out to him, Tag and Guna, FPL Mez from Mira from the Australian committee. Before we go, Baker, there was a question from the Australian FPL committee that when I shared the stream on our group, and they were like, they want to know how you feel about Ange and Spurs dictating the title.
Oh yes, it's it's a big old look. We would be over the moon if we beat Chelsea, we beat Arsenal, we beat Burnley, we beat Sheffield United, and we lose 10-0 to Liverpool and we lose 10-0 to City. Because it looks like we've not only have we got to lose, but we've got to lose badly because Arsenal's goal difference is so big. It's like, yeah, just walk them in.
Fair enough, yeah. And meanwhile, the two of us, like, we're both United fans. So on the other hand, we're like, okay, we did our job to Arsenal. We put real Liverpool back in. So it's like,
yeah. So your Operation Arsenal,
exactly.
You know, is it's like the
It was
opposite.
dirty.
It's like who's the least worst team we want to win.
Yeah.
Like, ideally, not all three, but here we are. All right. So
can I ask it back on you? So,
yes.
so as a Man United fan,
Yes.
would you rather Man City or Liverpool win the league?
I would rather City win 4 in a row, given their whole 115 charges and whatnot, rather than see Liverpool equal 20 titles at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. I was going to say, yeah.
So,
do you still feel that way? Like, I'd always think the rival was bigger with Liverpool than it is with Man City.
Yeah. Because I know a lot of Liverpool fans here in Australia. I don't know that many City fans. So
that's the reason.
Yeah,
that's the reason.
Yeah, and like Mira, she's a Liverpool fan. So you want that rivalry as well. So, but like City, I'm like, yeah, I see a lot of City shirts, like small kids wearing City shirts and all of that. And I kind of expected because they are champions and they've been winning for the last couple of years. So you expect them to grow. But even like our age group and all of that, it's a lot of like, you get the Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs, United fans all over. But like City is just because it's relatively a new team. You don't find it as much. Yeah, that's why. Cool. Let's get straight into the pictures. And before we start, so I like to call this segment the market recap. Basically, highlighting we have Rob T's charts. So we use those XG numbers to kind of dictate whether a team has to check whether they've overperformed, underperformed, or not. So the numbers in the brackets are the predictions that Rob had given in terms of the XGs, and the ones outside the brackets are basically taken from Understat, the actual XG values that they found. So slight differences in market, like in the models, but not too much different. And then green is basically they met it or overperformed, and red is basically they've either like they've underperformed, and yellow is they've kind of got there. So using all of that, I thought, okay, let's try and make it a bit more like usable. I've gone and put on the left, as you can see, the 2 percentage columns. I didn't know what to actually call it because I've just basically put XGC over games and XG over games, but I'm not really sure how to call it. So basically, if we look at Arsenal right on top, so 17% XGC over games. That means basically the teams that are facing them are only beating their XG by like at the moment 17%. So I think that's 1/6 that teams have beaten them in terms of, and I think that would be Liverpool maybe potentially. I don't know. So that means I guess that kind of reflects with what we know about Arsenal in terms of them being an absolute elite defense. Now on the other hand, the 33% in the second column is basically Arsenal beating their XG by about 33%. Now, at times that could be a bit harsh because if you look at Gaming 27, they were supposed to get 2.9, they got 2.47. That's like pretty high itself, anyways. And then you have the situations where you mentioned the Sheffield United one, where they like batter them and then still it's like very low XG numbers. There's a bit of stuff to kind of consider, which is why I've added like the clean sheets and goals as well to kind of give perspective.
I think it's a reasonable way to check our assumptions over the course of a few game weeks, because what they're predicting is like the median outcome. So you can still see like wild outcomes, but over a few game weeks, it's like, why is this team better than what the market thinks it is?
Yeah. And then obviously United 100% beaten every single time. So like Bournemouth this week, you can be guaranteed at this point that Bournemouth are going to meet the XG, given the way they play. So that's kind of what we've taken from it. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think there are some things here where you can say, like I always think when I look at like the Rob T graphics is especially when you look at the defenses, like quite often we're looking at like clean sheet percentages are like 30%, for example, or so. So if I look at, let's just take Chelsea, for example, this week. Everton are expected 1.18 goals this week, and it's what's that, a 31% chance of a clean. And then you go back to yours and you are like, okay, so that suggests we'll get a clean sheet wipeout. And when you look at them,
Chelsea,
most of the time, if it expects that they would get, so that's the 80% here is the XGC
that Everton would meet it. Yeah.
So what that's saying is the majority of the time when they're expected to concede, they do.
Yep.
So it's an interesting one for me. I've got Gusto this week, and I'm sure lots of people have, and are looking at him and thinking, home to Everton, it's a great game. But feelings are he probably will concede.
Yep.
Whereas I looked at, say for example, I've got double Arsenal defense and Villa are 0.83 to score, and the chances are it'll be less than that.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's probably, and looking at what they've scored, hey, they're expected 2.5 goals. They don't normally quite get that. Would we all be surprised if it turns around and it's a 2-0 Arsenal win this weekend? Very comfortable, very professional.
Yep.
Move on.
Exactly. So, well put, I guess. And then, Karan, anything to add before we move to the next one?
No, not just yet.
Awesome. All right. So, let's move to the fixtures. We'll start first opening kickoff, Newcastle versus Tottenham. Goals is all I kind of think about. I have no Heung-min Son, so I'm dreading it. But Baker, you've got Pedro Porro as well. What's the plan with him, and how are you going to approach, given that you're like dead in 34? Because I'm also in a similar situation, and I have no funds in my team right now in terms of making moves. So I have 2 free transfers, and I don't know what to do.
So I'm same boat.
Yeah.
Did you get me on just because you knew I was going to have to tell you that I'm in the same boat? Yeah. So
I just happened to go inside. But
yeah.
yeah.
So I've got Pedro Porro. I've got 0.0 in the bank. And it's a really interesting week for anyone that is going to this dead end here because the players if I look at my team and I look at the players that I could possibly sell, because you obviously don't want to sell the players that are going to double and you want to get as many doublers as possible. And most people are going to have around 8 to 10, potentially 11 doublers next week. So if you think about the players that don't double, Porro, Son, Palmer, Haaland, your Fodens, if you've got him as well, any of your City players, any of your Spurs players, any Chelsea players, Gusto, all of those players, single Man United. So I've got Garnacho in those words. Those players that I could sell are all players that have done relatively well recently, and I've got value tied up in them.
Yep.
Or they're so cheap that I can't move them on for anyone. So Gusto, if I could move him on, I probably would just move him on and get him back again. But he's too cheap. I've got nowhere to go. Whereas obviously Porro can go to any of the defenders. And it's a very interesting one if you move Porro on this week because you've got, I mean, the three defenders I would probably look at in this world are either Aït-Nouri.
Yep.
Then you've got Munoz at Palace.
Yep.
Then you've got an Everton defender.
Yep. In like
maybe
a
if you
Taco,
fancy it.
Yep.
Maybe even a Mikalenko. I was looking Mikalenko stats earlier today, and I was like, no one's got Mikalenko. Maybe I could have some Mikalenko fun. But obviously, Everton, even if you bring one of those in for Porro, I'm not sure if you play him or not.
Yeah, and this is where I'm at. So now I've got my 3 defenders for 34. And like I've got Branthwaite already. I've had him for quite a long time. So I'm used to getting his bench points also on my bench because I'm like, can I have 10 really? Are they gonna keep glitchy? Then they do. I've got Branthwaite, I've got Gabriel. They double, so everyone's gonna have like 1 or 2 Arsenal defense this week. And then I've got Van Dijk as well. I'm like, okay, do I really want to sell Porro and start a 4th defender?
No, you can't sell Porro, surely.
Exactly. So I'm like,
are you burning?
No, I don't want to burn because it's like I would like to get to like 10 or 11 double game and this is where this man on the picture here in Haaland also is a very interesting situation this week. Because I'm listening to your pod and where you were talking about if Haaland doesn't start, maybe a cheeky move to Mateta or something and play Garnacho, something like that this week. But sticking to the Spurs Newcastle match, what's like if Haaland started, we're not going to do that move. And I've got like 0.2 value stored in Porro. Now, I guess the thing that I am also not sure is, I'm not sure if I want Porro on my wildcard 35 team just yet, or do I go to like a Udogi for cheaper or stuff like that? Because Spurs defense hasn't been as solid. Or it should be solid given the numbers that I just saw. Because like look at that, Spurs 33%. I mean, that's usually they should be keeping clean sheets, but they're not at the moment. But
when the team's got so the reason why we like Porro and everyone likes Porro is that he's brilliant on bonus for his baseline. So his potential for bonus is really, really high. His potential for attacking turns is really high. He's taking all the corners, albeit, and it seemed there was some very tactical stuff we seemed to do versus Forest. So we took every single corner short, and we don't normally do that. So I think that was a one-off game. But he is taking all the corners. He was doing it in the West Ham game. And so you've got a player that's on corners. Well, none of the other defenders have that. We have got the ability that he gets shots every game. He gets shot like he's had so many that could have gone in, and that's the first one that actually did. But there's always a chance. And even if we concede, if he scores, because we don't have a striker in our team other than Timo, is the only striker from an FPL perspective, he can get bonus even and he can get all 3 bonus like he did this weekend, even if we concede. So you can get a double digit even without the clean with Porro. And even if he just got an assist, he would have been in the bonus.
Yeah,
he wouldn't have been far away. If you think about it, for a defender, they get 12 for a goal, but 9 for an assist on them. It's not much different. So I just think he has his returns, albeit they've been scarcer than it should have been, when he does get them, they're worth a lot. They're worth a lot.
Plus he's just fun to watch. He's got a wicked shot on him. Yeah,
it's just fun.
He tests the keeper every time. It's such a good shot that he's got. Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun. And, even the ones where he misses, like it normally misses because he's going absolutely for the top corner. It's not like he misses because it goes 40. Like you go, oh my God, it only just, there was one in the West Ham where it was Son 2, Porro, and he just dragged it wide, and it just went past the so you have those moments every time you watch him. I don't see a way, if I sell him, which assuming I'm going to, that I don't buy him back. And I've got a lot more in him. I bought him in game week 6, 5.0. I'll lose 500,000 by selling Porro.
That's where you start questioning, is 500,000 worth one extra transfer?
But I don't expect to have Salah when I wildcard. Yeah. And if you don't have Salah, then I just think I'm not going to have Salah. I'm not going to have a Trent.
Okay, so budget is not too much of an issue. Yeah.
I'm not going to have double Arsenal.
Yep.
I'll have, so I'm just effectively, I'm effectively probably just swapping Saliba for Porro in my cost.
Yeah, fair enough.
So you guys are looking for someone that has a decent fixture now that doubles in 34, right? That's the...
Well, not necessarily. And that's the weird thing. So for defenders, for Ryan, he's got 1 million defenders for it.
Yeah.
For me, it actually creates a headache because if I bring in Aït-Nouri, for example, I don't know whether I should play Aït-Nouri or Gusto.
Yeah, fair enough. This week.
Would you consider Dallo?
If I wasn't wildcarding, Dallo would be the defender I'd go for this week. Yeah, if I didn't have a wild card, and especially if I didn't have a wild card or a free hit, I really like the Dallo punt because I think him in 34 there's very little in that versus any of the players that are doubling. If you offered me Dallo or play, say, as Zabani, I'd have Dallo. If you offer me which one could I play next with it, and I think it's just a really good option from 35.
I think that's one for free hit 34 managers. Like they can prepare for the 35 fixture instead of having to worry about this upcoming double in 34.
So I know you asked me about Tottenham.
Yeah,
but I do want to flip that on the other side because for strikers, for example, if you're a free hit in 34 and you've used your wild card, because a lot of the free hitters have used wild card. What do you think about Haaland?
So I still think he is like one of those front 3 that I would want, even on a 35 wildcard, along with Isak and potentially Haaland. I have also toyed with the fact of a short Ollie Watkins stint as well, potentially. Because the fixtures aren't bad, right? Chelsea and I think Brighton in 35 and 36 before maybe going to, let's say, a Haaland. Because United are such a moments team, I would say, where Haaland isn't getting as many chances as I would like. But having said that, the fixtures are good on paper. So he should probably score in those 2 games. So a good option. Probably, I would say, out of all the United players, either second or third, probably best options to get for an FPL option. But yeah, Karan.
Yeah, I think it's a good option. I think United, as what is it, uncohesive as they may be, they still send the ball long and create chances. So yeah, I don't mind him at all.
I like
So
it.
you guys are wild cutting in 35,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
That's the plan.
yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yep.
100% will. 100% will.
Yeah. So another one I will ask. Huming's son. Now, good fixture for him this week, but he's also I've seen it in a few people's teams, and they're like same problem with Udogi. I'm sorry for with the Porro, and they've got Huming's son this week, and they're like, oh, they really, because the rest of the midfield is all Dublin basically, effectively for them, and they're with Huming's son. I'm like, do you really want to sell Son against the Spurs Newcastle defense that has absolutely no defense at this point? And I'm like, oh, that's a tough one as well.
Yeah, I
Mm.
guess we don't know about Richarlison again. Like we still don't know about that, but it seems sensible that Richarlison would probably go on the bench. I would suggest if he's back, he's fit enough for the bench. It doesn't seem mad that we would just chuck him in. I think the front three of Timo, Son, and Brennan at the moment seems the one of choice. I would expect it to be Timo and Brennan again, because I think that pace is probably a little bit more important than, say, the artistry of, or combative nature of Kulusevski. I guess it depends if he thinks that he wants to use Kulusevski as a bit more defensive cover, I suppose, than saying a Brennan in tight space. But I just don't think that's how Ange is. It always sets up to say, well, how can how can it be about our game? It's not, it's that for you guys would know in Australia the old Socceroos talk. You've seen the one with the enjoy your lunch?
With Ange, yeah.
Yes, so you know the enjoy your lunch, but so the saying is, I want them talking about our game. And that's exactly how it is. So we don't tend to see that Ange picks to try and defend the opposition. He's trying to pick. He wants to pick to think, how can we exploit them? So that's how he plays. So I would expect that front three to be the same front three. It is interesting with Son. I think Son's best. Son against teams that sit in. What Son wants to do is get the ball out of his feet and shoot. That's what he wants. But with the wingers like Timo and Brennan, when they overlap, they become the furthest forward. So he's there for the cutback all the time, but he doesn't really get the space that he wants to get. Whereas I think against someone like Newcastle, it would be these sort of bigger games, it's much more suited to set up to get him in behind. So I do think this is a really good game for Son. I certainly won't be taking Son out this weekend.
Fair enough. And final one, at least for me, is like just watch listing like going forward. We know Son is definitely someone we want. Maybe a Spurs defender, that be either Udogi or Porro. Probably leaning more towards Porro, given his. We've thought Udogi recently has been the more attacking one, but Porro is the one now getting returns. So either way can go that. But who is that third Spurs player for like a 35? Brennan maybe, or do we think Richarlison?
Yeah, I think Brennan, until you see otherwise, is the one for me. I think there is a thing where you feel like Timo could end up being, like a third cheap striker. I've looked at my third striker a lot and go, I don't like that. So, I think Timo is up there competing with the Haalands of this world for, do I just use him and then bench him and play 5 midfielders, say in 36? For example, Sheffield United in 38 feels like a good game for him as well. But yeah, I think he's there. Vicario, I think, a lot of us are looking at, I think Anana and Petrovic were like nailed on for everybody, as they'll be the two keepers, because you've got the double. But Yeah, you want because when there's a double in 35 and there's doubles in 37, you want keepers that are just doubling. You want you want a doubling keeper in 35 and you want double in 37. So I think everyone's well, that's why I want Petrovic. But Chelsea, like we've seen, they just keep conceding. So I mean, Vicario is not much better, but at least he gets some saves.
Yeah, true.
So I think if you don't end up maxing out, then I think Vicario is still a better option than Petrovic.
Yep. Fair enough. That's true.
The
But it's just
downside is if Richarlison starting every game at 9, right at the end of the
want him.
season,
Yep.
you'd want him at 37.
Yep. Fair enough.
What about Madison? Doesn't look as lively at the start of the season.
I want him to be the asset that we all want to go to because I think it's really, really important for Tottenham that Madison's on form. But it's not right. He can't do the minutes, is he comes off every game. He has come off early virtually every game of the season. So it's not a post-injury thing, it's just a thing. Like there's clearly some kind of sports science in it that he tires. But he was so involved in everything good we did for the first half of the season. He was the big man, in the team, and we don't see that anymore.
Yep.
You're almost kind of waiting for, especially now Kulusevski's not getting in ahead of Brennan. Kulusevski wants to play in that number 10 role. You're like, well, he's there waiting, and Lo Celso's now fit. They've got all the options, and we've seen it from Ange. If he doesn't think it's quite working, even if he thinks it's working, he can still make the change. So I thought Bissouma had a really good game in the first half against Forest. He was getting into plenty of good positions, getting shots. Took him off at half time because what he saw was, well, Bissouma's having the time of his life here, but Bissouma's not particularly good at shooting.
Yeah.
I'll put Bentancur and Højbjerg in these positions because why not take better advantage of it? And I think it's the same thing with Maddo. Even if Maddo's playing well, he looks at it and says, well, this is working really well. It'll work even better if Kulusevski comes on fresh for the next 20 minutes. Like it's not even like if he has a good game, like he's going to stay on the pitch. He's changing it. It's really hard. It's really hard, but I do struggle to justify that you would go to Maddo at the moment.
Fair enough. Okay, so I guess at the moment it's like Brennan Johnson or Timo Werner, and then in goal, probably Vicario if we didn't want to.
It's not good, is it? It's not greatest options in the world.
But then you look at the goalkeepers that we won for like 35 onwards, like none of them are really outstanding ones. Got Petrovic, we got none of them are also keeping clean sheets. But at this point, we're just looking for goalkeepers who just make more saves than the other. Effectively, yeah. Cool. So let's move in. I guess Newcastle, from a Newcastle point of view, Isak still pretty good option.
Wingers and strikers are fantastic against Tottenham. So if you've got Gordon, you've got Barnes, you've got Isak, that's great.
Yeah. All right, let's move to Brentford versus Sheffield. Now, there's a comment in the chat from Zizo where he basically also had no idea what to do. So he's taken a punt on Brentford, and he has Toney and Reguilon for this week. Now, I've got Reguilon as well. I hope he can return those 2 assists he had on my bench this week against Sheffield United. We'll see. But for those who have Toney, now he got benched in the last game. Mbeumo is back. Mbeumo could also be a very interesting for those looking for free hit 34, Waka 35, 1 week punt. Could also be another very interesting 1 week punt.
Forgotten man is back.
Yeah, effectively. Any love for Brentford? Or just like...
I've got a lot of love for Toney, actually. I think I think Toney's still, really good. He knows how important he is to that team, and he mentioned it at the start, at the end of it, it's a rest. He's carrying something a little bit, but he's so important for these games. I expect Toney to bounce back from it. I still think Toney is the number 1 for me, but I think there is some interesting times where you could go to Mbeumo this week. So, and again, some of it we are talking about losing value here for some of these things. I personally am not too wedded to that. No, your team value doesn't, guy in your season history. Do you know what I mean? Is your points.
Yeah.
So if you own Foden and it turns out Foden's not playing this week, I'd be real tempted to make that straight switch to Mbeumo this week.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like if Foden is playing,
Yep.
like if Foden is playing, he's like the upside of upsides that anybody could get in this week.
Yep.
But outside of it, yeah, it's where we sit. Obviously, Luis Diaz in the Liverpool games, another option around that space. There's lots of good options around midfielder. But if I look at who would I want in as a striker this week, if you offered me, say, Toney or Alvarez this week, because we assume Alvarez definitely will play, I'd still go Toney.
Fair enough. Cool. Karan, anything to add? Brentford?
Yeah, I guess it's easier for you guys to consider given the dead ending.
Yeah. Oh, even then I
I
wouldn't.
think even past it though.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
do, I do think even past it with, especially with Toney, like
Let me go to their fixtures.
if you said yeah, so the
Sheffield, Luton, Everton, Fulham, Bournemouth.
See,
and
I don't know if
Newcastle,
I don't know if I'm missing a trick. I feel like I'm only considering teams with doubles, but maybe I'm
I,
missing out on all these teams with good fixtures.
I think Tony's fixture run is just straight good. Like I would
Mm.
not be upset. I wouldn't be upset if Toney was on my bench boost in 37 away to Bournemouth.
Yeah.
It wouldn't upset me at all. And I think the Fulham and his last game of the season at home to Newcastle, and we've seen their defence, all season of what we're seeing with them. The home to Fulham, good games. They're all decent.
Could potentially be his last game for Brentford as well. You never know.
Well, it will be.
Yeah, for
it
sure.
absolutely will be.
Yeah.
True.
And Boomer probably makes him a lot better.
And Boomer makes him better. Definitely, we've seen the snippets we've seen of them both playing together. Like it immediately, the fun starts the second they're on.
Big man, little man. Yeah.
Indeed. All right. So we'll kind of want to monitor that and see because again, like the Watkins bunt potentially could go also Toney as well for a short stint as well potentially. Cool. Now Brighton have a double, but don't know what to say about Brighton. It's a very different Brighton this season compared to last season.
I'm considering Joe Pedro. I think he's a decent point.
Effectively, that's basically it. And I guess a lot of people are going Van Heck in defense because they just need like a very cheap defender in there for like bench boost if needed. But pictures are not that great as well.
No. Not great. Look, I like João Pedro, but the fact that he didn't start last game and the fact that, I'm not saying they're on the beach because but they're a team that rotate it in normal times. I'll expect them to continue to rotate, and that's where it's difficult. That's probably why a lot of people like Van Heck is that you feel like there's probably not a lot of rotation there with him.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a difficult call. I think the Pedro one's all about what does that money give you. So he's so cheap that it means you get this or you get to do this and you get to do that. So it's there. It's just knowing how much is going to start.
Fair enough. All right, the main game, City versus Luton. Now, highest XG projected here, 3.4. But will the big man start? We don't know because obviously Champions League 3-3 game. That means that tie is definitely open. Obviously, City get the advantage because they're at home now. I would favor them at the moment. But will Haaland start? Will Foden start? Will KDB, even though he was like not playing, I think he was because I don't know if Pep will risk KDB, given that the second leg is too important. Even though because he was sick on that day.
Did you see that quote? Yeah, he was throwing up or something.
Yeah, so I'm like there is a possibility for leaks, but we don't know. But like odds, City.
Yeah, I guess it's.
Go ahead, Baker.
Yeah, like the obvious thing is just cap Haaland. That's the obvious thing. But we do have to ask ourselves, even if Haaland does play, like who else does play. So if we have a league that says Haaland plays but KDB and Foden don't,
then is it really good to captain Haaland? Because where's the service?
Is it as good?
Yeah.
You know, but then there's no real bad options, really. Like, would you be surprised if it was even Haaland, Doku left, Bob on the right, Alvarez behind as a front four, Nunez and Rodri, because Rodri plays every game in the world?
Yeah.
You'd be like, yeah, it's probably still okay.
Yeah.
Probably still fine.
Fair enough.
I know the number says 3.4, but this just feels like one of those games where Pep just wants to win the game by halftime and then just, muck around for a bit. Like,
yeah.
Yep, potentially.
It probably is a 3-0 stroll. It probably is, as it says, a 3-0 stroll. It's the question of what you want from it, what you get from it. The question's probably a little bit more of how much you trust those others. Like there's a few things which have sort of happened where it makes it slightly more difficult to trust. So like Brentford, for example, Toney, like if we 100% know that Toney's starting, I would be tempted to cap Toney over Haaland this week. If I really was pushing, if I had him, I don't have him. So it's always easy to say that when you don't have him, isn't it? But if Salah was really on it, but
converting his chances instead of
he's not quite on it. But maybe he will convert more, and this weekend's the weekend he does it. Then it's there. Saka, like the knocks, they're coming off the bit. They've got the big game in midweek, and that you're like, oh, I don't like it so much, and all those things. So I think it is still one of those Salah versus Haaland conversations again. Like you say though, Karan, like if they are 3-0 up at half time, does he just come off at half time?
Yeah, a bit worried about that.
What if he doesn't? He could we've seen him score 3-4 goals.
Yeah, but then at the same time, he hasn't been that prolific in the last couple of game weeks as well. Been kind of like outed. So like he's not the same Haaland as like last season where I was like perma cap. But now you've got into a position where you can start questioning the big man and like, is there a better alternative and all of that? That's where we got to. And again,
is it him or is it the service that he's getting?
Probably.
I think it's a bit about, and I think I feel like Grealish back in the team.
That's better.
It's good for him. Yeah, it's definitely good for him. And we know that Pep's all about rhythm. So would I be surprised if Grealish played again this weekend? No, because we know Grealish, he needs those he needs the miles in his legs, really. So if it looked like Grealish was playing again and Haaland were playing again, then that's probably enough for me.
Yeah, fair enough. The fun part would be he doesn't start. We get a league that he doesn't start, and then okay, now I know what to do with it. At least one free transfer instead of burning.
Yeah, I can just I would just sell.
Yep. Cool. Luton, on the other hand, I think nothing really to add. Pictures are also not there. But all right. City defense though, something again. This is another for like those who are free hitting in 34. Is it something to consider, given that obviously they don't really keep clean sheets per se? Even in this chart, they've only for 50% of the time they kept clean sheets from the last 6 game weeks. So, is it someone to consider? We saw Guardiola score a banger in the Champions League.
Yeah,
he's been threatening that for a few weeks.
Yeah,
as in just in the positions he's been taking.
And I know Adam has it in his team as well. So.
Oh, if we again, this is all league related though, isn't it? But if you did know it and you're free hitting in 34, then surely you just go in and see a defender.
Yep.
Surely this week you go in and see a defender.
All right, Wolves versus Forest. Ryan Aït-Nouri. Is he fit? Is he not? We don't know at the moment. But he's. I guess when we spoke about Pedro Porro replacements, potentially the one that I would look for. Would I start him this week? I might actually start him over Van Dijk at times. I don't know. Because I can see Crystal Palace just finding a way of getting a goal somewhere. Now Forest could also score, but it's just that Aït-Nouri has so much attacking options, like attacking threat. It's just that I'm playing that attacking threat in that case, because I've got him. I got maybe realistic speaking, I probably should bench Reguilon against, but then Reguilon's against Sheffield United and he's just a very attacking.
Can't do that.
So, exactly.
You can't.
So I'm like, yeah, who'd I play? Who'd I bench? So probably Van Dijk is the one who most likely gets benched because of the least attacking threat. Having said this, now that he might score from a set piece. So yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think it shows up in the XG, but he's the target for most set pieces.
Yeah. But then from
and Palace are like the worst set piece team in the world for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So I would not bench him.
Ideally, I don't want to make the transfer, but I don't know. This is where I'm like, I'm stuck with 2 free transfers and not sure what to do.
It's the shiny new toy syndrome, though, isn't it? If you bring someone in, you immediately feel better about them, and you bring them in and you bench them, and you feel like an idiot. Do you know what I mean? But look at that. If you said to me, if I was on free hit this week, I'd put Van Dijk in it, I'd put Reggie in it, and I would put Gabriel in it. That'd be my free.
That's the 3 I have.
That's my free defenders.
Yeah. Exactly. So
and maybe I might muck around with it if I get a City League, but I probably wouldn't. I'd probably just go those 3 anyway.
So Wolves, on the other hand, what do we think? Apart from Nouri, is there anyone else really convincing? Now I've got Dan next week ahead of the Double for podcast as well, so it'll be interesting. Dan FPL Black Wolf to get his opinion on his Wolves team. But so far, I guess it's only Nouri for us.
How's Cunha's minutes since he's come back?
Been easy.
Only just got a few.
Yeah.
Only just got a few, mate.
See, if Cunha had decent minutes, I think he would be the other option I'd think about.
Yeah. Agreed. So
that's pretty much it, though, right?
Yep. All right. Bournemouth versus United. Based on this table, Bournemouth are definitely meeting their XG this week. A certain Dom Solanke I got him in my team. We'll start him. Hopefully he returns because he's been doing all right. Last couple games he just missed, but not a bad option to have.
Yeah, happy to play him.
Yeah. United, on the other hand, I have no hope. I don't know what's going to happen. I have Garnacho. Very tempted to start Garnacho. But then at the same time, I'm just happy to play the other midfielders I have over him.
Yeah, same. Garnacho's first on my bench at the moment. But if Haaland was to miss out,
then yes,
I would happily move him to say Mateta. That's probably what I would do. And then I'd play Garnacho. I think that's better than trying to chase the upside on any striker from the cheaper lines.
I think that's the same plan that I'm on at the moment.
I'm wavering a little bit here.
On which one?
Let me pose you on this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I need let's say Haaland's out.
Yes.
I need a striker for 30. I need
34.
So I need someone. I'd need someone to replace Haaland this week. So Garnacho seems the obvious option. And I could go Mateta, and then I'd play Mateta next week. And I'd play Garnacho as well next week.
Ooh, okay.
So I'd play 10 doubles plus Garnacho.
Yes, I'll be benching Palmer if that's the case.
Yeah. Alternatively, I could go Haaland Toney this week. Do you think Toney has such an upside on, say, Garnacho this week? Is it worth chasing with Toney for and for go a doubler? It's a bit like Karan was saying, we're so focused on doublers. But do I try and improve my team this week and chase what I think could be the big haul?
But then,
because if Toney got 13 points this week, then I wouldn't care, would I?
You'll be laughing. But see that's where we're now maybe
I don't know. Would you see Hoyland just has an extra fixture, right? In the next two.
Haaland or
No, next
no,
to
no,
next to Mateta.
next to
Mateta has an
Mateta.
extra fixture.
Oh, right, yes.
Yeah, so it's between Mateta and Toney. Because I don't know if there's any other striker that you would want. That maybe, assuming people already have the likes of a Darwin Núñez
Yeah.
and all in their team. There aren't that many other strikers with a double that you would want. Because Cunha, like we said, hasn't been getting the minutes. And also his fixtures aren't as easy as Mateta's from an attacking point of view. Because he's got Arsenal as
Yeah.
well as part of them. It's a case to be made, to be honest. I mean, we spoke about Hoyland, but in your case, it kind of doesn't apply. I think maybe in Karan's case, because he doesn't have a wildcard left or a free hit even left, his case could apply where maybe he goes like for a Hoyland, gets him for this game, gets him for Sheffield United as well in 35. That's just another possibility.
Oh yeah.
But I think at least I feel like the logical move at the moment is to try and get the doubler in Mateta. But I don't. I could also, because of that, so much like money left in the bank after you free up Hoyland. I might even look to even upgrade Garnacho next week to like an Eze even potentially or an Olise. Now, Sheffield United fixture versus two maybe slightly harder fixtures. Hard to tell, but that's also a possibility.
Yeah.
I guess something to ponder about and see.
Garnacho is a good play this week, though.
Yeah.
Solanke is a good play. Garnacho is a good play.
We'll see what goes. All right. Liverpool versus Palace. Now, certain Diogo Jota is back. Potentially. We don't know for how early he'll be back. Or at least according to his Twitter post, he's saying he's back. Now, Liverpool do have a European fixture this week. Maybe we'll get to know a bit more from Klopp. That's also the same case, I guess, with Alisson and Trent. So for those who have Bradley and Kelleher, would be a nervy time. Where do you stand on this in terms of Liverpool? Vic, I'll go to you first.
It's great. It's great, isn't it? It's great. That's what it is. It's a really good fixture, but they've got a lot of fixtures. Liverpool now the fixture congestion is huge. So like even though players are coming back, I suspect they'll use them in the Europa. The ones that are coming back, it's a good way to build minutes into it. I think we'll see lots of substitutions. I think all of that part plays into what we're seeing. If you've got them, great. Would I? Yeah, if you got them, great, and they're the fixtures are good. They're a really attacking team. Like all of it's yeah, it's all good.
Just hope this is not a situation where like double game 25, we get the Liverpool players we want and then they just disappoint in 25. Same thing happens here. I don't know. We'll see.
Of course it can.
Yeah,
always can.
I think Salah is. I think Salah is probably my captain. I just think the minutes are too good to ignore.
Agree.
Yeah, and I can't see Jota coming straight back in. So I think Luis Diaz is still a good option.
Yeah. Diaz is still a great option.
Yeah,
great option. Yeah, I'm still looking at Diaz for next week.
Yeah,
that will be the midfielder I would bring in. I don't trust it enough to do Son to Diaz this week. If I needed to make a move, it's not. It's still like the matchup for Son.
Yeah, the upside's too good.
Yeah, fair enough.
Good. And I wouldn't put you off Mocap, and I'm not ruling it out myself. I still think it's a very, 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 very good option.
Yeah, I'm also like on the rank chasing end, so I kind of have to, because now we've got to a stage where like mini leagues and everything we're looking at, and we're like, oh, how do we catch this guy in the top in the mini league? And I'm like, okay, if he's going to go hard, then I kind of have to look at going a differential potentially, because if the gap is too wide, you need to take some risk, and these are like one of the risks that I'm also thinking about potentially this week.
Yeah, you feel like you can't lose that bad, I always think, with it as well, because if you look at this, the clean sheet odds are good. And so, like, if he gets a goal,
yes,
then
you're like at least 10 points
It
by
could be
then.
8. It's probably 8. It's probably 8 points even without. It's 8 points
Without bonus.
potentially without any bonus. But quite often he's getting the bonus at the moment. So let's make that 9, 10. Then even if Haaland braces, it's like, well, that's 13. I haven't really lost. I own both.
Yeah.
But there is still that world that says to you,
Haaland gets a hat trick and then goes like 17 point or something.
there is that world, and there's the other world where there's the good fixture where he gets the hat trick and Haaland maybe scores early, comes off.
Yeah.
They keep it clean, doesn't get any bonus,
Yep.
all those type of things. So I don't know. I always think as well with the Man City ones, when Alvarez is definitely going to play, we always know Alvarez baseline is higher than Haaland's because he does more work. So therefore, if Alvarez scores and Haaland scores, then likelihood is that Alvarez outdoes Haaland on the bonus. So, all of those things say to me that Mo's just is still a really, really good captain option this week. He's getting the chances. He's just being a bit snatchy about them, but he's still Mo Salah.
Yep, fair enough. Cool. And then West Ham versus Fulham. I mean, in the chat, I've got Quinton, who's an Australian FPL manager. He's a United fan, but I call him a closet Fulham fan at this point because he's been on this Muniz train for a long time. Even before the Muniz train actually existed, he's been on it. So he'll be looking to, I guess, play Muniz this week. Fulham in general, Fulham is a very odd team. Like, they've got some decent fixtures. Muniz, I mean, I wouldn't mind having him as well, potentially. West Ham, hard to tell with West Ham, with European commitments, where exactly they'll lean towards, whether they'll start rotating or not. Thoughts, game, if you had Bowen, would you still keep Baker?
You're not bringing him in, are you?
No.
But if you
definitely
got
not. No.
If you got him, you play him.
Yeah. Karan?
I mean, yeah, you don't bring him in, but probably is probably a good candidate to sell for one of those other doubling teams we spoke about.
Yeah.
Okay, I will move straight to the Arsenal versus Aston Villa. Now, Arsenal 2.55, Aston Villa 0.83. I mean, a lot of us have double Arsenal at least, whether that's double defense and also one attacker or one attacker, one defender. I've got triple up on Arsenal in terms of Odegaard as well. So I've gone different instead of the usual double Arsenal defense to kind of like differentiate myself away from most of the others.
I think that's really good, and I wish I had Odegaard or Havertz. I just don't know if this is the game week to bring them in. Like, I think Villa can get blown away from home, but the Champions League game's 3 days later.
So yeah.
So I have no idea who's going to play. I feel like Trossard will probably play. Or
this is the weakest. But then again, they need to win this game, right? Because end of the day, now obviously City eased past Aston Villa with a rotated team. I don't think Arsenal have the same luxury of like rotation that City does.
Yeah, Champions League is in 3 days though.
That's true.
Yeah, they won't play Jorginho, you'd expect. Like, Bryce can play, like he'll be fine. But Jorginho probably is the one that drops out. Like, Jorginho will drop out for a Smith Rowe.
Or even a Thomas Partey,
so a bit,
potentially, yeah.
Or Thomas Partey. Yeah.
So,
I suspect a Smith Rowe, a Partey, a Trossard. Do they play? Yes, and Zinchenko. They'll play over Kirill. Like, they've got those options. Tomiyasu could play for a White. Any of those types. Like they can make 3 changes, for example, and then they can make another sort of 3 in game probably. And still be fine. They're just great. Annoyingly great from my perspective. Like, you got me playing. Would I bring Havertz in this weekend, despite the fact that what we're seeing on it? I say, like Karan says, it's just so hard. It's too hard, especially with it being the Sunday 4:30 game.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah. Fair enough. And then Watkins owners, time to sell. Eventually, maybe.
Yeah, as good a jumping point as any. Right?
Yeah. Especially if you wanted to double, like, so for example, you want to go Watkins to Darwin. I mean, I know people have done that before. It didn't work out too well, but it's still a good option with this than a double.
Yep.
Especially if you're going to wild card out at 35.
Yep. And then the final game is Chelsea versus Everton. I guess apart from Palmer, you got Gusto. You're thinking about Gusto in terms of potentially starting or not. A lot of others have Petrovic that they might be looking to play. I guess from Chelsea's perspective, are you looking on a Game Week 35 wildcard? Would you have those three players, or would you like look to just go for two Chelsea players, or would you even get like a different option?
I might punt on a Jackson for the 35 wildcard. And if you're on a 34 free hit, maybe you can consider Jackson, getting him now.
The only problem with Jackson, like
Yeah.
any booking in the next two games, and he misses two games.
Oh,
he
yeah,
misses
yeah,
two
yeah.
games
Yeah.
because they haven't played as many. So you just know he's going to get booked in 34 and miss both games in the double. It's just that absolutely nailed on that says to me, like, I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. But and the same thing on do I know? Well, I don't think we know. I never think you fully know with a team that's not either going to be competing for Champions League or anywhere near relegation type space. And I've got FA Cup, which they'll, still, that's now the biggest thing of all for them. I'm expecting a lot of rotation. So you go for the people that you think are the most nailed in this world. Well, it's just Palmer, really.
Yeah.
And then if something happens to play out over this next two games, then you can run with it. If it doesn't, then limit yourself.
Yeah, I will add another potential Chelsea player in Gallagher. Playing well, getting points, people kind of going under the radar.
Take some set pieces.
Yeah, exactly. Someone to kind of consider. The only thing is he takes that valuable midfield spot that we want to like load up on, which is the problem.
Yeah.
But not a bad option, to be honest. At least for the double in 35. And then maybe you sell him after that. But yeah.
It's just hard at the end, isn't it? You want every transfer to be as fun as possible.
Yep.
And I don't think it'll ever feel as fun enough.
Yeah, fair enough.
At least, like Jackson, at least it feels fun, doesn't it?
It feels fun, yeah.
Feels like life on the edge, but not in always in the good way.
That's why we have Darwin and we're struggling with Darwin here. But yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. That's basically the fixtures for 33. We'll look towards wrapping it up. So
should we go through teams?
Yeah, let's go to teams. Chips, when you can play. This is for anyone who's looking. Quick with that. Triple captainers. There are a few existing triple captainers. 34 or 35 or now 37. Which would be...
I'll do it on Mo in 34.
Yeah. Is it obvious? Yeah, I guess it's pretty obvious.
Fulham and Everton. I would say so.
Yeah, I'll just do it on Mo.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Cool. This is last 6 game weeks team attack. Liverpool and City right on top, along with Chelsea, Newcastle, and Spurs. And then at the bottom, you got Brighton, Sheffield United, Luton, Wolves, Aston Villa there at the bottom, which is why I'm looking at that Arsenal game and I'm like, I would like them to at least start like the players I have in terms of their attack.
Yeah.
And no Douglas Luiz as well for Aston Villa. So that's another loss for them as well. So kind of want to look at. And then defense, Arsenal on top, Liverpool second, City third, Forest, interestingly, fourth here, last 6 game week, and then Spurs. I'm hoping this is where
Spurs have really climbed this.
They've been here. It's just the clean sheets haven't been kept, which is what I'm slightly worried about. But yeah,
we do stupid things.
And then we've got United at the bottom. So I have Solanke. Looking forward to that. Aston Villa, Luton, and Sheffield United. So we'll see. The one thing with this is United's delta is like negative 4.92. They're like supposed to get even more battered, and just Onana is just making saves. So even though we're not keeping clean sheets, I think that's why I probably have him on my wildcard in 35, just for the save points purely.
Yeah.
And then teams. Baker, this is your team. This is at least what your team was in 32. 74 points, pretty good haul. I'll read it out for those who are listening on the audio. So Neto in goal, Porro, the double Arsenal defense in Gabriel and Saliba, Saka, Salah, Palmer, Son, Haaland, Solanke, and Darwin. And on the bench, you got Ariola, Garnacho, Gusto, and Kabore.
Yeah.
And again,
So decisions, I guess, are at the moment Gusto versus Porro.
Yep.
Areola versus Neto. And then I've got 2 free transfers. So it's what I would do. And the 2 that the 2 players that I'm either looking at this week, I'll make 1 transfer this week, is either Haaland out or Porro out.
Yep.
If I do Porro out, it'll be Aït-Nouri.
Yep.
So if Haaland starts, it'll be Porro to Aït-Nouri. Haven't worked out the then Aït-Nouri versus Gusto battle because that's still the next battle. And then if Haaland's out, my 2 current thoughts, so it's either Haaland to Mateta, and then I would play Garnacho, or it would be Haaland to Toney
for the Sheffield United game.
And then I would play Toney. It's effectively playing Toney in 33, 34 against Sheffield United and Luton in games which are big now for them, they need the points, versus playing Garnacho this week and Mateta twice next week.
Yeah.
So it's like
effectively one extra game, but
one extra game. But I like Toney's games better, than for each of those ones. So it's a question of, but it's doubles of fun, aren't they?
Yeah,
you always want to chase them.
Yep, fair enough.
But it's I'm closer to that than I expected I would be. But I'm starting to think about Toney as maybe as a wild one. I think Haaland will play, so therefore I suspect none of these will.
Yeah, so it'll be Porro most likely. That potentially makes sense. And then,
even if he plays 50 minutes, right? You just gotta have him.
Haaland,
if he started, mate, no choices.
Yeah. And then this is my team. I've got Dubravka, Van Dijk, Gabriel, Porro, Salah, Palmer, Saka, Odegaard, Darwin, Solanke, and Haaland. And then on the bench, bench point pain. Areola, Garnacho, Branthwaite, and Reguilon. So I'll be looking to start Reguilon this week over Porro. I don't know if Areola is fit or not. We'll see. Because I don't really want to start Dubravka, but if I have no choice, I'll probably have to. That is all. I could have done a goalkeeper transfer if I had money, but I don't. This is where the Porro has to come in to try and free up funds.
Yeah, it's not even like you can just do a slide.
No, that's the thing. That's why I'm in such a locked position where I can't move anywhere because even the cheap players that I have are just so cheap that there's no options to go. Everything is all upwards. That's the thing. So it's either Porro or Haaland. Most likely looking at Porro. And then the question is, if I bring Aït-Nouri in, do I play Aït-Nouri against a Forest team or do I put him on the bench? Because like we just discussed, the 3 defenders have good fixtures. That's what.
So you might actually end up burning a transfer.
No, I don't want to be in that position.
Okay.
I would like to maximize on my doubles.
And it means that you're playing, say, Branthwaite for a double over Garnacho against Sheffield United in 30.
This is where I could, if I wanted, bench Branthwaite. But having said that, if I was to realistically look at the double, I wouldn't put it past Branthwaite to get at least the clean sheet against Forest and then gets hammered in the Liverpool game. Potentially. Versus Garnacho. So it's just effectively one game each for both of them. It's Branthwaite against Forest and then Garnacho against Sheffield. I probably lean towards Garnacho, most likely. But then again, like I said, with the money that Porro gives, there is the flexibility at least to maybe upgrade Garnacho to an Olise potentially, I think. I haven't worked it out and seen yet if it's possible or not. Eze might be a bit too far, but Olise I think is cheap enough to be able to get there. So yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. And then Karan, Petrovic in goal, Bradley, Udogie, Gabriel, Salah, Palmer, Saka, Son, Luis Diaz, Solanke, and Haaland. And on the bench, you got Kaminsky, Muniz, Gusto, and Doughty. What's the plan, Karan?
So I got 2 free transfers. I think it's very dependent on what we think Connor Bradley is going to happen to Connor Bradley. Otherwise, I will move Doughty on for like a Michaelenko or something, and leave him on the bench, play Udogie. Yeah, something like that.
Fair enough.
But I don't think I was initially considering Son out for if we had some more security on Arsenal minutes, I might do Son to Odegaard or something. But I just don't think I will. So yeah.
I generally think Odegaard should be fine for minutes, given he's captain and all. That's one of the reasons I went for him. But if you can wait, there is that added advantage of like getting potentially Havertz as a differential in 34, which is a very nice.
Yeah, I think I want that. I think I'd rather would Havertz. Yeah, but you want Havertz when Jorginho plays.
Yeah, which might happen in 34.
Yeah.
Good point.
Cool. That's basically it. So thank you to Baker for joining us this week. Anything to plug?
No, we're above average FPL. Thursdays, Sundays, usual things for us. So I'm assuming we're back tomorrow night. Albeit the next 10 days or so, we're like part football pod, part golf pod, because we're both big golf fans. It's the Masters this week, and then next weekend we're actually doing an FPL golf day, which I cannot wait. It's going to be amazing. We've got like 24 of us from the FPL community playing a tournament day out next week. So yes, we're sort of a hybrid of football, FPL and golf at the moment. So yeah, it's good.
Awesome.
Good times.
And Karan, thank you as well. Anything to add, Karan, before we leave?
No, thank you guys. Fun end of the season. Let's have fun.
All right. Thank you all, and we will see you all for deadline stream this weekend. And also, do hit the like button, do hit the subscribe button. I think we're like 1 or 2 subscribers away from like 700, so do hit the subscribe button as well. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you to Baker, thank you to Karan, and we'll see you all later.
See you later.